Welcome back to ReadingBear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, "You're not giving me an ETA for a fix? I'll flood your ticketing system." This happened around 2012. Back then I used to live in southern Europe, one of the Mediterranean countries. I was a university student in a remote, rural place. I had just moved to a new apartment and, naturally, my first order of business was to make sure that I have a running internet connection. The problem was that due to the place I was living in being so remote, there was only one ISP provider available. You didn't like the provider? Too bad. Anyway, I signed the necessary paperwork in time, moved to the new place, set up the router and all, and thankfully my connection is fine. That is until day 3 or 4 when out of nowhere my internet connection dies, but my phone line was working normally. Okay, no probs, I call the ISP to open a ticket. The representative tells me that they will get back to me soon. A few days pass by and I get nothing, so I decide to call them again. The representative tells me that they are still investigating the problem and that they will get back to me soon. Now, this is the point where I'm starting to get frustrated. I know that the internet in the area is fine. In fact, my next door neighbor's internet connection is great, so the problem must be something that is easily fixable, right? Wrong. A week has passed by and I call them again. This time the representative tells me that they have investigated the issue and the problem is officially of unknown origin, which means that they cannot give me an ETA for the fix. I hang up the phone feeling sad and perplexed. As I contemplate my internetless existence, the representative's words echo in my mind: unknown origin, we cannot give you an ETA. Slowly, my sadness transforms into denial. How is this possible? My phone connection still works, so the line is still there, and I know for a fact that everyone in the area has a stable internet connection. This must be a simple bug that is easily fixable. This can only mean one thing: some mofo has not been doing his job correctly. The denial becomes anger. How dare they tell me that they cannot give me an ETA? This should be illegal. What if my job depends on my internet connection? Not to mention that internet access is a basic human right. They are denying me my rights by not giving me an ETA. At this point the issue stops being the internet connection, it's about the principle of the matter. As a human being and a customer, I am entitled to an ETA. I call the ISP again and I try to explain my flawless reasoning. No luck. The poor representative who listens to my rant tells me that the only thing I can do is to open a new ticket. Shocked by my inability to define my fate, I accept his offer and hang up. And then, a magnificent idea is born. Since the only thing that I can do is to open a new ticket, then this is exactly what I'm going to do. From that point on I was calling my ISP provider 2 to 5 times per day. Each time, I was telling the representative the same thing: this is what has happened, I know that there are multiple tickets with my name on them already, but I want you to open a new one. Most of the representatives were pretty amused by my story. Everyone complied. A month later, yes, a month passed without the issue having been fixed, I get a call from the regional tech executive of the ISP. The call goes like this: "Executive, less than long angry rant greater than you must stop opening tickets, you're flooding our ticketing system." Less than more long angry rant greater than. At first, I was shocked at how aggressive the executive was. He was clearly one step away from starting to calling me names, and I knew that the only reason this didn't happen was that these calls are being recorded. And then my shock transformed into a visible glorious erection. You see, my friends, this is the point when I realized that I was winning. Me: well, are you going to give me an ETA for a fix? Executive: we cannot give you an ETA, the problem is of an unknown origin. Me: then I guess I'll keep opening tickets. Executive hangs up. To cut a long story short, this exchange renewed my passion for crushing the souls of those who have wronged me, so I kept opening tickets at the same pace for another 30 to 40 days. I estimate that in the course of the total approximately 70 days that this lasted, I must have opened more than 250 tickets. One day my phone rings. I pick it up and it's an ISP representative who tells me this: "Mr. Lexmeet, is this you? Your problem has been solved, everyone at ISP name is talking about you. Indeed, on that day my internet connection was back. The cool part about this, however, was that I had internet all along. Remember my next door neighbor? She was kind enough to let me know her Wi-Fi password since day one. Next one is titled, I caught my staff stealing money and she's bad-mouthing me since then. I am a veterinarian. We have several branches around our area. One day my receptionist, Roselle, took a day off, so a staff, let's call her Anne, from the main branch was sent to help me out. All she needs to do was to answer phone calls, help me a little and to manage the cash. A lady walked in with a chihuahua with eye problem. As I was talking to the lady explaining what she needs to do and what she needs to monitor, a guy with a puppy with respiratory problem came in. I told Anne to bring the puppy to room 2 and start nebulizing. After 5 minutes or so the lady was about to leave and left with a $125 bill. She paid in cash. I wrote the receipt, gave her a copy and put the cash on top of the counter. No one can enter the receptionist area except us because we have 3 American bullies guarding inside. Then I attended the puppy. After a few days Roselle went back to our branch checking the cash on hand, stocks and appointments. She went to me and said, Doc, I have some concerns with the cash. You wrote a receipt but someone erased the amount. The amount written in the receipt is different from the amount in POS. If there is an error and the erasure was supposed to correct the amount, we should have an excess cash of $125. I checked everything and Roselle asked Anne about it. She was very defensive and said she who wrote the receipt, so it's her fault. I don't know with her, ask her. Roselle sent Anne the photo erased receipts and told her I know Doc doesn't open cash register machine and I can't check CCTV. Anne immediately said, oh yeah, I remember, it's my fault. Well, people do mistakes sometimes. I'm near your branch, I will drop by in 15 minutes, I'll give you the money. Just forget it, it's my fault. I don't care how much money she took, my point is her intentions to steal and to put the blame on me. I reported the incident through email, together with the photos and the scenario. I also sent the names of the people who were present at that time, lady with a chihuahua and the guy with a puppy. They are my regular clients, they can ask them if they want to check the facts. After which I plan to just forget it and let my partners to deal with it. Around 9 p.m. that day, I went to the main branch to get some stuff for my dogs. Main branch is near my house and it's open 24/7. She saw me there and immediately sent text to everyone telling that I stole $125 from our branch and I was trying to blame it on her. By the way, my partners were my classmates from vet school. We knew each other for more than 15 years. They know that I am not tight on money and that my values are always anchored on integrity. I was shocked when I found what she did. I talked to my partners and said I will not make any scenes or anything that will put my reputation in a bad light, but I will not back down or tolerate this. My partners tried to control the situations, talked to her and told her to stop bad-mouthing me. But she went on. I told myself I will wait for a right moment to get back to you. After a week, Roselle was still trying to defend me to other employees. She told me that Anne was still talking to other staffs about me stealing money. To get more sympathy from others, she said her son was positive of COVID. I got a copy of the text and immediately reported her to our local health office. Their family was quarantined for 2 weeks and was not allowed to go back to work for the time being. We also found out that local police contacted her because she has a pending case of theft. She stole more than $100K from her previous employer. Next one is titled, How I and My Best High School Friend Got Rid of a Homophobic Bully. While talking with one of my best friends, Elle, we remember this story and I found it fitting here. So, background, I was 16/17 and with undiagnosed BPD, depression and panic syndrome, IDK if it's written like that in English. In the other hand, Elle has ADHD and depression. In other words, we were not very sociable or likable in class and it did not help a lot that we suffered bullying since elementary school. Now we are in therapy and medication for our problems. We both were an inseparable duo of friends, as I was the vocal and protective one and he was the more calm giant. Since we had some mental problems, Elle and I were bullied a lot. Our height, my glasses, our looks, the way we talked, everything was a reason for a group of 9 to 10 boys to taunt, isolate and shove us in the halls. What worsened the situation is that Elle and I were assumed LGBTQs, so it was common to throw papers at us saying really horrible stuff, and the school staff didn't admit it at all. As it began to worse, I had to confess to my mum about this. My mum, being overprotective and knowing the law, threw hell under the school to do something. Hell, she even threatened to open a criminal case that is pretty scary here because of the school's negligence. She also said something to me that I will remember forever: if you ever suffer something like harassment or like this again, make sure to say everything to everyone that can wreck the person's life. Don't let bullies and criminals get away, make them pay. Because of this, the a-holes only received a slap on the wrist, and the director made a new policy: if you bully someone, it is immediate expulsion. At first, the bullying stopped and they let us alone, and it was like heaven. They still gave us a stink eye and a cold look, but they didn't directly harass us again. However, I guess they didn't think that harass us in social media couldn't give them consequences, because they started cyberbullying us. I was upset. Not only this motherduckers got away with bullying us, but thought it was okay to make our online life hell? However, now I wasn't a dumb kid that sulked it up. I told to gather all the crap they did, from calling us names to threatening us, in a big pile of screenshots and links. It was really great that they were dumb bullies that used their main social media to do that. It was almost 9 pages of pure harassment and prejudice that would make a homophobe shock in horror. And we sent it to everyone that we could find, from the school director to parents and grandparents. The crap hit the fan. Not only they were expelled, but also their grandparents and parents were so disgusted that some disowned their grandson. Elle's mum and mine were out from blood and sued these kids. Some had to go to jail because of that stunt. The lesson? Don't be a dumb turd and use your public account to harass others, and don't be silent of what you are suffering. Make sure to tell others. Next one is titled, "Got My Revenge by Submerging a Mattress in the School's Swimming Pool." I had transferred to a very small private school in my junior year of high school. Not my choice, but my parents moved to a rough area and my mother worked a second job to keep me in there because the public school was known to have low graduation rates compared to other public schools in the neighboring cities. For that, I'm forever grateful. I had gone from being somewhat cool to the new kid without friends. It lent a lot of perspective and empathy, and from it, I learned a sense of compassion for anyone being the new in a class or job scenario as I became an adult. Anyway, transferring me, I sat in the hallway outside the principal's office as the administrative work was being taken care of. Across from me was John, without the H, who was awaiting discipline for something, though I'm not entirely sure. He looked me up and said, "What the hell are you looking at?" Being a former cool kid, I laughed under my breath, rolled my eyes, and shrugged it off. That did not go well with him. He told me to go duck myself and he'd see me later, just before he went into the office to receive whatever discipline he was there for. Throughout my junior year, I'd be called names, shoulder checked, even spit at by John. I eventually made friends at school, so it was tolerable. I always kept my cool. Being a small school, we also were on the baseball team together. I was somewhat of a standout and was awarded captain of the team, and on the field, John and I had mutual respect and a common goal of winning. However, towards the end of the season, he broke that mutual respect by peeing in my baseball bag, soaking my helmet and glove with pee. It has always smelled like urine since. I never ratted him out because it just wasn't my thing. I don't discount others for doing it, especially in a bullying or dangerous situation, but it just wasn't for me. But I was at the point where I had had enough. I was going to get him back. He had a class in a period before mine. We had the same desk and he'd often leave me notes that said, "Duck you," on them. Looking back, I now think it's kind of funny. But he had made the mistake of leaving a graded test behind one Friday. He had AD, so I know it wasn't a token for him to show his parents. I took it and devised my plan for revenge. I wrote on the back, "Senior prank ideas," listed a bunch of preposterous ideas like, cow on the top floor, set off sprinklers, call in 100 pizzas, and finally, throw a mattress in the pool, among others. I did my best to mimic his writing. The following weekend, I had driven around town, found a mattress on the side of the road, hopped the fence of the neighboring K through the 8th grade campus, and dragged the mattress, with a "Seniors 02" spray painted on it, over the fence and into the pool. The thing about throwing a mattress into a pool is, once it's soaked, it absorbs a ton of water and becomes very difficult to pull out from the deep end. The school had to rent a bobcat to pull it out. It snagged and ripped and a bunch of foam and debris littered the pool and the school had to drain and clean the pool and fill it again. Needless to say, it was an expensive fix. The following Monday, I had left his test behind as if it had been there all weekend. Somebody in another class had turned it into the teacher who then turned it into the principal. John was soon after expelled because it would have been his third strike at the school. They couldn't simply suspend him this time. So he left the school, and finished the last 2 months of the semester at another school, and graduated. From what I heard, his parents didn't even believe him when he was questioned and denied doing it. I had a bit of guilt at the time because I was worried I may have set him on course for disaster in life. But through Facebook, I eventually saw he took over his father's successful plumbing business and is doing okay, so I don't feel as much guilt as I used. I acknowledge how what I did for revenge was messed up and could have been disastrous for him. But he rebounded in life just fine. I just hope that he learned he can't get away with pulling his crap every time, that there is always some force keeping tabs and he treats others with a little more respect. I'm sure karma will get me back someday, but in the immortal words of Daniel Cormier, duck John. Next one is titled, I got him to out himself as a horrible person, and he got disowned. So, I should preface this by saying I'm not gay myself, but I've always been supportive. Also, I was in the US Army briefly before getting entry-level separation during basic training. Basically this means I wasn't in the Army long enough to get a real discharge type, and functionally I was never there for legal purposes. That's where I met the target of this story. The target, let's call him Squint because glasses, was always a chill dude to me during my time there. Never had a problem with him, he was friendly, polite, and pretty chill. He moved on to whatever his army career was, and I moved on to a year of moping around my girlfriend's house living on army savings, and doing odd jobs for cash. Anyway, I'm sitting around the house on the day the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage when Squint, he friended me on Facebook after we got out of basic posts something about how didn't agree with the decision. I don't remember the exact wording, but I would not let such a thing disgrace my newsfeed with its presence. Being someone with nothing but time and suppressed, directionless resentment and a very supportive then girlfriend now wife who helped me through this dark time in my life, I naturally started a fight over it in the comments section of his post. This might seem like a petty solution, but when people are willing to publicly express mild discomfort with something controversial, there's usually a lot more under the surface, and often it only takes a direct challenge to draw out the crazy. Oh boy, was that true here. This argument quickly escalated as he dug himself further and further into the hole with revealing how truly horrible of a person he was. I'm not going to repeat the really horrible things he was saying about gay people here, but you get the picture. Remember that all of this was happening publicly on the comments section of his post. Enter friend A. Friend A was a friend of his from high school. The ensuing conversation remains one of the most devastating owns I have ever witnessed in my life. This took place in the thread of my long argument with him, which is why I feel I had a role in it. Friend A, didn't you give Bob a blowjob back in high school? Squint, yeah, but I didn't like it. I felt like he pressured me into it, and it was a terrible experience. Not exact wording, just paraphrasing what I remember. This was actually a full paragraph about how horrible everything was, coupled with an anecdote about why he let himself be pressured into it. Friend A, so let me get this straight, you hate all gay people because you had one bad experience giving a dude a blowjob? Squint gives a long, rambling, wounded non-answer that basically boils down to, yes, but it sounds bad when you say it like that, and in my head it's not bad, so you have to respect my feelings. At this point more of his school friends start chiming in, and having already said my piece I break out the popcorn to watch the show. The entire group is heckling, disowning, and expressing their disappointment in him. Family members even start joining in, and taking the same position. There were no battle lines here. Every single person involved in this was uniformly expressing some level of disgust or disappointment in Squint, who eventually gave up on trying to defend himself entirely. Edit. Also, keep in mind that he was a new recruit in the army, and they were really going hard on an anti-discrimination, anti-sexual assault, anti-sexism kick back then. At least they were doing this publicly and in basic training. I didn't think about this until just now, but he put his job in serious jeopardy with the crazy homophobic things he was saying, and I only wish I had thought of this back then in order to report him. Too late now though, the post is gone. End of edit. This continued well into the evening, so the next day I woke up, curious to see if anything else had been added, and found he had deleted the post entirely. He unfriended me, but surprisingly didn't block me. I did the honors on that one. Last one is titled, Wrong Number Lady, Show Me Your Boobs. I bought my phone number 5 years ago, and I understood that I get the previous holder's calls. From time to time is get password reset, automated notification, text ads, even debt collectors. After a year or more this has died down a good bit. However, after 2 years I kept getting needy messages from her aunt, begging for money or just, "How was church?" type messages. I got fed up. Every time I would say, "You got the wrong number," and say she would fix her phone. So one random Tuesday she texted happy birthday, and I responded with, "Show me your boobs." That was the last time she contacted me. I guess she finally remembered to change her contact, or she just blocked me. Don't know, don't care. Thanks for listening.